good evening to you. You'll be disappointed, I imagine, then, that this case is continuing.
Yes, good evening, and thanks for having me. Yes, the case will continue, but you actually have to accept one thing that stood out today in court, whereby you will find that the prosecutorial team was actually, in fact, the defense team was able to pursue the court to place the case under case management, which is something that will assist the case to be dealt with in a speedily manner, as opposed to the indefinite approach that was actually being presented to court all the time.
But, Mr. Dube, you will concede that problems against your colleague are mounting. The amount, as I've just mentioned, seems to be increasing. That amount has now risen to somewhere in the region of 400 million rand. The problems for the former mayor are simply getting bigger and bigger, aren't they?
Well, that's what people want us to actually believe. In fact, that is more of a fiction than a reality. The reality is that there are companies that are actually charged in the same matter regarding this tender, which is referred to as DSW tender. But what you must actually understand is that up until today, there are no specific charges that are presented before Gumede, which suggests that what was her specific role in terms of her being part of the incorrect or wrong dealings to actually influence the tender, or alternatively, has she received any monies around the same tender? So what we are actually seeing here are monies that were paid to companies. It's not money that was received by Gumede. So for us, it's not an issue, because we know for the fact that she doesn't really become part of any bid adjudication committee in the municipality. She was not even an executive mayor, for God's sake. So it doesn't really, even if it could be a billion, she's definitely not traced back to the tender. She did not participate in any way.
It's not necessarily, Mr. Dube, it's not necessarily operational. The allegation is, and by the way, she's out on bail of 50,000 rand, that she was using her political position to influence the contract. There's a difference between influencing something and being operationally involved in the adjudication of tenders.
That's precisely what we are referring to say, if you say that she influenced the process, how did she do it? Did she write an SMS to the city manager? Did she come into the adjudication committee? That's what we are referring to. In essence, we are saying we want the court to actually, or the prosecutorial team, to present the specific role that she played along the side of others that were actually charged in the same matter. That's what we are asking for, and that has not been forthcoming for the past 9 months. And I'm actually tempted to believe that that will not be coming anytime soon. That's why the defense team had to request that at least the prosecutorial team must be case managed, because they were presenting an indefinite they were painting an indefinite picture of their investigation not coming to an end anytime soon. So precisely that's why the magistrate had to grant that.
So if she didn't use the position to politically influence, it would be your contention, I imagine, Mr. Dube, that she's being picked upon, that she's been unfairly treated, that it's all part of a conspiracy. Am I correct?
I still yet to see where it says she used her position unfairly. But what I came to understand is that she is charged on the matter that they refer to as corruption, money laundering, and racketeering, which for me, it has to do with her being involved in one way or the other. So I haven't really seen where the charges are specifically saying she actually weighed in to use her political influence to achieve a particular outcome. But once again, she has never been an executive mayor. We've got an accounting officer in eThekwini who accounts for all the administration. So I don't see how really will she have participated in that.
So let me put the same question to you again, then, if I can. If that's the case, if you strongly believe in her innocence, that she was unable to influence those tenders, you would suggest then that she's been picked upon, that she's been unfairly treated. I've read reports about this being part of a wider conspiracy against her. If that's the case, if that's where you stand, who would be responsible for this?
Well, it's unfortunate that one cannot divorce anything that has happened recently on ex-mayor of eThekwini, Gumede, on political aspects, because she is a politician, by the way. You must remember as well that in terms of the processing of the entire saga was managed by the provincial structure, of which you must remember that even after her removal, a National Executive Committee did write a letter to actually caution provinces never to interfere with metros. So it should tell you that the whole thing was actually cooked within the Provincial Executive Committee. And you must remember as well that when she was placed on the precautionary leave, it was based on the charges in terms of her not being able to operate in the space. Suddenly everything changed. It became a matter of performance, whereby she was never even given a space to come and present her side of the story as far as the performance is concerned. So one will not shy away from mentioning that this has been happening based on the political persecution, as you've just indicated.
So why then would the provincial executive want to cook, as you put it, this plot against her? What was the motivation?
I wouldn't really know the motivation, but what I came to realize is that the chairperson of the province, Zandile Gumede, has been perpetually making statements. One of them was suggesting that Gumede is continuing to address the so-called caucuses in and around eThekwini. And the question that he was posing, he was saying, who is Zandile Gumede? And we were all surprised because Zandile Gumede has been in eThekwini for a very long time. Anybody who is in a political space should know who Zandile Gumede is. By the way, she was never convening any caucuses. It was the matter of her being invited by branches. Then she will come and respond to that. Secondly, it became a matter that the current chairperson, Zandile, mentioned when he said the municipality is better performing. You must remember, Jeremy, that it's impossible for anyone to come into the municipality in October and suddenly win the awards. You must know that the awards that have been won by eThekwini municipality, they were basically the work that was done by Gumede previously.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. Live in Durban, Zandile Gumede from the organisation Branches Supporting Zandile Gumede.